The PlayStation 2 is one of the most successful game consoles ever made, spawning an immense library of games in all categories. This list is very hard to compile, but I'll give it a try and show you my favorites. I bought this game on a wild guess. I liked fighting games, but was way past the rap scene as it was already becoming territory of mumbling idiots with tight leather jeans. The best memory I have with this game is that I popped in the disc and 10 hours later my eyes couldn't take it anymore and I stumbled to bed. With a brutal combat system, some mild RPG customization elements, a thin storyline and the option to choose between some lovely female rapper ladies as your love interest, except that one. This was a well balanced and produced combat game. Somewhere along the line and in another video I said I liked arcade action racers. And Midnight Club has always been a game that felt subpar. The game resembles something like your little brother, wanting to be just as cool as you. Somewhere it did, but of course not as Need for Speed cool as you. And bam, there came Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition as if your brother somehow got cojones and manned up. Dub Edition just wiped the floor, stealing that Need for Speed charm back then. Customizable cars, better graphics and less of these annoying characters. Nowadays if you look at those non-anti-aliased graphics you get a headache. But back then mate, this was all we had. You spoiled brats. Killzone was my first PlayStation 2 game that I actually owned, bundled with a slim PS2. I sporadically had to borrow a PS2 system from someone as it was still expensive back then at a whopping price of $1,200 US. Plus, I liked the PS2 Slim because of its design. And Killzone being added was a super bonus. Not only was it made by Guerrilla, a company here in the Netherlands, it's also a wonderful game with its back then next-gen graphics and a great competitor for the FPS console crown Halo was holding down for years. Although the franchise has been swept under the rug for several years now, as many other competitors rule the field, Killzone was one of the PlayStation's finer trendsetters for the console system. I'm going to keep it real here. I don't like playing horror games. It gets me intense and frightened that I just give up. On the other hand, watching a horror game or a movie is something else. I love that. Let someone else take all the frights in the face. I'll just help, from a distance. So I did with most Silent Hills, and although I did not actually and directly play the game, I was there from the start to the end, watching someone else play it. And me doing the jump scares and time screamings, ha! But what this game did better in comparison to the later games was maintaining the claustrophobic, helpless atmosphere set in the first game. The storyline was still pretty easy to follow back then. In the newer games later on, I had no idea what was going on with these different settings, relationships and families. Should I make a PT reference and hate on Konami? Nah, you get the point by now, and I think Konami as well. Rest in peace, Silent Hill. A silent and sneaky title this one. A game that flew under the radar for most PS2 owners as it was a niche, likely more targeted for the Japanese audience. And I get it. If you look at the art style, storyline and gameplay, one would conclude that. Luckily, the game got a Western release, so at least I could enjoy some of this amazing, over-the-top, in-your-face action. I mean, look at this! Even watching this footage gets my blood pumping again. A hybrid love child of Max Payne and Vanquish, but with a cel-shaded anime look. There is a follow-up to this game called Overdose and continues on the same path and storyline. I would like to see franchises like this getting another chance, like on Kickstarter perhaps. The first game in this installment caught everyone by surprise. Laying in the same line as Devil May Cry or the earlier Heavenly Sword, God of War stirred it up with a different setting, the Greek mythology. Combining extreme and brutal violence in multiple ways, this is not a game for the little ones or faint at heart. Epic boss battles, and surely what everyone remembers, the laughable sex scenes in my opinion. I find sex scenes in most games forced and cringeworthy, and in God of War they certainly are. It felt crammed in there, and to be honest, this is something you would like if you are 12 years old. Just give me back that brutal action over and over. Yeah! Metal Gear Solid 2 was the long-awaited sequel to the PlayStation 1 version, and Kojima took the PlayStation 2 to the next level when this game was released. Gorgeous graphics with its futuristic setting, Snake in top shape, it had everything going for it. And then, enter Raiden. Fans went ape shit over Kojima's choice to make Raiden the main protagonist instead. I personally never felt any doubt that Raiden would suck, but I understand where people were coming from. The interaction for a next-gen Metal Gear game with Snake was very short, and Raiden's introduction was pretty abrupt and in your face. It didn't help either that Raiden was a rookie to start with, as where Snake was a natural badass. Still, if you put all that nonsense aside, you are treated with a great Metal Gear game that felt like a worthy sequel to the Solid franchise if you could overcome some inner pride. Changing the pace and familiar gameplay is something in which Kojima is skillful in, and it has my respect. Major Tekken fan from the first installment reporting. It came as no surprise that Tekken will be on some of my lists. I chose the 5th installment in particular because it refined itself and brought the best elements from the previous games into this last installment on the system. Better graphics, an updated character roster, and the possibility to customize the characters. I personally didn't care about that shit, but hey, it added some RPG element to it. And there's Attack and Force mode. It always felt like this mode became a joke with each installment, and it felt more like a comic satire inspired on old school 2D beat-em-ups. But I still played it because it's Tekken. Normally I would have to choose between each of these, but I can't. These 3 games are equally awesome and each has its own unique quality. GTA 3 was the first 3D Grand Theft Auto and therefore a pioneer in the 3D sandbox genre. It transformed the 2D top view game into a more realistic 3D environment, but kept it over the top with its ridiculous gameplay. Vice City tapped into the veins of GTA 3, but changed the environment into the ultimate 80s getaway with its neon lights and memorable soundtrack. But it was San Andreas that eventually set the bar for the future installment in the series. With its 90s ghetto vibe, inspired straight from the East Coast West Coast rap scene and best of all, RPG elements, San Andreas was an instant hit. Regardless if you like the rap scene, San Andreas was so much more than the previous games, implementing the first era character optimization in a GTA game. Hairstyle, character stats, clothing, fighting style and physique. You could alter CJ to your liking, which made players more connected to the character. With loads of things to do in the city itself, ranging from love interest, secret areas, minigames and territorial conflicts, this was and still is a massive and impressive game. So when's the remake due, Rockstar? The first time I played this game, I was shocked, baffled. Like most Metal Gear fans. Gone was our trusty and handy radar on which we could spot enemies. Thinking it was the worst decision Kojima made, I went on playing frustrated. Boy, how wrong was I and many other Metal Gear fans. Turns out, we never needed that radar. In fact, later Metal Gears did not implement the radar at all anymore and no one complained. I guess we were all so spoiled of being able to detect every enemy in our advantage. Instead, we had to rely on our own sights and tread more carefully into enemy territory. Exciting, a fresh welcome change and a more realistic approach. The setting went from full-on futuristic in the last game to the more relatable 60s-70s era, during the Cold War. I won't go into the storyline in depth, but it's clear that Kojima had it all thought out in extreme detail, as with each Metal Gear. The game is still filled with gameplay mechanic riddles, Easter eggs, jokes, and the boss battles are highly memorable, with a beautiful ending boss battle which left gamers crying of sadness. There are so many other games that didn't make the list but are still one of my favorites, like Gran Turismo 4, Katamari Damacy, Tekken Tag Tournament, and SSX 3. Did you like this video and want more of these? Check out the other videos on my channel which are all gaming related. Other top 10 lists are upcoming, so hit that red button so you won't miss them.